Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Willie Simmons Show. The Panthers win 7 games in a row to finish out their season with a 9-2 start, the best record since 1964. Yet they're on the outside looking in with the FCS playoffs. We'll discuss that and the inaugural season with Coach Willie Simmons and the Panthers when we return.
Prairie View A&M University is about the students. Students don't just come here for the education. They come for the faculty, for the creativity, the camaraderie, an excellent standard of living, and the school spirit. They come here to gain something profound and to give something back. Students come for the tradition of excellence. This is Prairie View A&M University. Our tradition, your opportunity.
And welcome back to the Willie Simmons Show. Coach, I know you finished on a strong note as far as your regular season goes, but the final voice that comes from the FCS has to kind of be one of those gut checks. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. What a performance overall by your team on Saturday.
It was, Mike. It was a great performance by a great group of young men that I've had the privilege to coach this year. And when I took the job and accepted the job back in December, I knew that I was inheriting a talented football team. What I didn't know was that I was going to inherit a group of guys that were going to grow as much as they grew in a short period of time. They matured at a level that's just phenomenal. Academically, socially, spiritually, and athletically. I mean, these guys have made a tremendous jump, and it's evident by the 9-2 record that they were able to put on the field. But it's a great group of young men, a phenomenal group of seniors that really going to miss, that this program's really going to miss. But it was an honor to be able to coach them. You know, those guys have bled and sweated and cried, you know, Prairie View purple and gold for 4 or 5 years. And it was just a great feeling to send those guys out the way that we did by beating Jackson State 56-14. And a lot of those seniors had huge games, and some of them that hadn't really played a whole lot this year. Like Keelan LaSalle scored a touchdown. Ekene Morty got a sack. So just to see those guys in their final game go out the way they did, Jonte Hebert 212 yards rushing, was just a great experience. And it was an emotional win. Senior day was an emotional time to see those guys come up and get their jerseys after the game. I mean, Courtney Brown probably still somewhere crying right now, just being so emotional and passionate about the game of football. But it was what football is played for. It's the thing that we talk about all the time, that unless you've been a part of it, that you never truly understand. The bond that those guys have built this year will last them for their lives. And that's something that I was adamant about when I took the job and first spoke to the football team. And I asked them a question. I told them, we'll win when we all buy into the team concept. And honestly, I can't say I knew that they would bond that fast. And I think a lot of the Prairie View alum and fan base are surprised as well that they were able to play the way they did this year. So great start, great inaugural year for us. Disappointed in not getting to the FCS playoffs, but when we look back on this season, we'll be extremely happy with what we were able to accomplish in year one.
Well, we're going to get on to the FCS playoffs in just a second. I want to talk about, you pulled a trick play out the last 7 weeks in a row, Coach. You were playing a little possum in the first 3 weeks of the season, and the old fumble rooski for LaSalle. Where did that come from, man?
Well, like you said, once the guys started to understand the offense, the first few weeks you're really just trying to make sure we can line up and play football first before you start trying to introduce trick plays. But once they started to figure out the wheres, the whys, the hows, then we started to get creative and fun with it. And that's a play that really I've been running since college. Tommy Bow, we ran it every year at Clemson. We would always take the smallest, fastest guy on the team and run that play. And we were 4 for 4 at Clemson with it. Every time we ran it, we scored a touchdown. And then we went to Middle Tennessee, and we had another little guy, fast guy. He ran it, he scored. Got to Alcorn, had a little guy, walk-on running back from California. He scored on it. So, senior year, we actually tried it early in the season. I'm kind of glad Jackson State didn't watch it and see it. It was early in the season, so they didn't get to prepare for it. But just a play where you hide the smallest guy behind the biggest guy, and you put the ball, between his legs, and he kind of sits there and pauses and waits for a few counts, let everybody flow to John. If Jonte Abel's running full speed the other way, Jonte, Trey, and Courtney all running the opposite direction, the defense has to honor that. And so LaSalle did a great job of hiding, came out of there and scored a touchdown. And it was a great sight to see, and just love to see him, because he's been again, I can talk about each of these seniors individually and just how I feel about them all, but LaSalle's one of those players where I tease him all the time. I say, LaSalle, it's a good thing I have a good self perception and good self-esteem, but if I didn't, I'd just come to you every day. Because every single day he's, Coach, you're genius, Coach. Coach, what is it, Coach? You keep saying you don't have the magic jelly beans. You got them somewhere, Coach. How do you know we're going to win? And he just every day says something to the fact that we're being successful and how we're being successful. And he keeps trying to attribute it to me. And like I told the team, really though, on a more serious note, on that Thursday before the game, or that Friday actually, all of the seniors got to address the team, and a lot of them kept trying to give me credit. Coach, I thank you for this, I thank you for that. I thank you for making us become close as a team. I thank you for helping us learn the team concept. I thank you for this. And I said, guys, at the end of the day, I didn't do anything. I told you that we needed to be a team. I gave you some blueprints as to how to be a closer team, but they did it. Those young men came together. They gelled as a football team on the field, off the field, in the classroom, and I tip my hat to them. But it was great to see LaSalle score that touchdown on that trick play. And again, with this game, you got to have fun. And every week we try to run. We ran multiple. We threw a double pass to Trey before halftime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We had to throw back to John Trey, a tight end, right before we ran the other trick play. And we didn't execute that one, but we have a little trick bag that we like to pull out of.
Yeah, you pulled all the rabbits out the hat this past week. Now, as a matter of fact, I was for a moment thought that was Fred Anderson that had got around the corner, because all I saw was the 5, because he was hid behind everybody, right. And you got a good thing, and you end up on a good note. You're having fun. A pretty good turnout, considering that you had a monsoon that morning prior to the game, and just an overall perspective of how this team had what it needed to have, but then the missing element was Coach Willie Simmons. Now, I know you don't want to take credit for it, and the talent was here, but talent is only talent if it's not willing to work hard. There's an old saying that says hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. So you gave these guys the blueprint, as you're saying. You gave them the formula on what it's going to take to be successful. Now that has happened, have you had that final meeting? I know, but when I spoke with you Saturday about what could possibly happen with the FCS and this, that, and the other, what was your final parting words with this team?
Well, we met yesterday morning. We met Monday morning at 7 o'clock, and just wanted to go ahead and, of course, we all knew by that time that we had didn't make the playoffs, and really didn't want to let too much time pass before I addressed the team finally. Thanksgiving's coming up. Wanted to talk to them about some things about safe travels and conducting themselves the right way going home and things of that nature. But just wanted to go ahead and address the elephant in the room with the playoff, and then to give them the parting words for the season. I didn't really get a chance to address them in the locker room after the game because it was so emotional and seniors were visiting with their families. And basically my words were simple. The seniors have set the foundation. They set the foundation of what this program is going to be and look like. And but like I told them, when you build a house or a building or anything, you start with the foundation. And luckily for us, our seniors have set a solid foundation. Now, if you start to build that house and you don't use solid bricks and things of that nature, that house is going to crumble. And so for this team, the underclassmen, the guys that are coming back, what type of bricks and blocks are we going to add to that foundation? Are we going to continue to go to class, continue to go to study hall, continue to make good grades and be great citizens off the field and help people in the community and be great church members and things of that nature, and practice hard, lift weights hard to continue to build a program the way we want it to be? Or are we going to let a little bit of success cause us to think that we've arrived and throw away everything that these seniors have built this year? So it was more of a challenge to those guys we have a blueprint, we have a start, but the worst thing I said, you want to send these seniors out the right way, win a championship next year. Because you win a championship next year, now they know that everything they started has come to fruition. But if we go and we blow it away by not doing things the right way and forgetting what we've learned this year, then it'll be a slap in the face to these 18 young men that's leaving this program.
Well, the Panthers finished 9-2 on the regular season, the best record since 1964, and they were yet snubbed for an FCS playoff bid. We'll discuss that when we return right here at the Willie Simmons Show.
Prairie View A&M University is about the students. Students don't just come here for the education. They come for the faculty, for the creativity, the camaraderie, an excellent standard of living, and the school spirit. They come here to gain something profound and to give something back. Students come for the tradition of excellence. This is Prairie View A&M University. Our tradition, your opportunity.
And welcome back to the Willie Simmons Show. The Panthers win 7 consecutive games to finish with a 9-2 overall record. Their only losses being to the top-seeded Grambling State Tigers and an FBS opponent, the Texas State Bobcats. But yet the FCS says it wasn't enough. Coach, you've had time to reflect and go back over everything, and I don't need no politically correct answer right now. I need to know how you really feel in your heart. You got a 6-5 team representing from the Missouri Valley Conference to get ahead of you. How do you take that?
Well, it's definitely disappointing. I don't know if I can find the words to totally explain how I feel.
They could probably edit it out.
I think what it shows is a lack of respect for the Southwestern Athletic Conference and the MEAC Conference. I'm advocating for ourselves and Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman's 9-2, Bethune-Cookman actually beat Grambling early in the season. So you're talking about the number one team in black college football, the Grambling State Tigers, who because of the arrangement with the MEAC and the SWAC don't go to the playoffs. Well, the next two best teams are Prairie View A&M and Bethune-Cookman, both at 9-2, both with 81 conference records, and neither one of us get a bid, whereas 5 teams from the Missouri Valley Conference go.
Five
teams. Every team in that conference that had a winning record went to the playoffs. Like you said, Western Illinois was 6-5, and they won their 6th game on the last game of the season in overtime. 2 other teams were 7-4. So I think there were about 4 teams that got in with 7-4 records, and then Western Illinois with the 6-5 record for 13 at-large bids. And again, I think it's a blatant disrespect for the level of play that we have in the SWAC conference and the MEAC conference. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed because it's not fair to these young men. It's not fair to the guys that have sacrificed and go play the Texas States of the world. And I think Bethune-Cookman played Miami, so we're going to play these money games, guaranteed games, and we're losing them, because chances are we're not going to beat those teams on a normal basis. And then we both lose one conference game. Bethune's to A&T, who at that time was the number one team in the MEAC. Our losses to Grambling State, who's the number one team in the Southwestern Conference. And so, I can't reiterate enough. I think it's just a lack of respect for the HBCU conferences, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed because on paper, I would say we're just as good or better than any of those 7-4 and 6-5 teams by what we've done on the field.
Well, with that being said, it made me bring up the question, are they saying that Missouri Valley, and this is no knock toward Western Illinois or anything, but as you say, it's about respectability and credibility. This, to me, is like taking a dog and sticking his nose in it and saying, ha, 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 take it or leave it. This is what's going to happen. You're talking about a season where you're averaging over 40 points a game. The defense has done nothing but get better each week. You're leading or in the top 5 as far as special teams players, block punts, executing everything on the field. You got one of the most prolific backs to ever touch a football in Hebert. And all this is for naught. And you go in the top 25 FCS ratings, Prairie View is somewhere to be mentioned. And you're looking at this team in particular, the Leathernecks, that you can't even find them on the radar. And I'm going like, is this for real? Made me ask the question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but since I got you here, is it time that there's a consideration to be taken to either the HBCUs, the MEAC, and the SWAC conference come together as a super conference, or is it time to start seeking refuge outside of the Southwestern Athletic Conference?
Well, I think it just depends on what the end game is. I mean, what's the ultimate goal for the schools in the SWAC conference and MEAC conference? If it's to compete for national championships at the FCS level, then that's something to take into consideration, because I don't think we'll ever get the national respect. One, we're in the Celebration Bowl now, so neither conference has an automatic bid. I think we're the only scholarship conference in FCS football that doesn't get an automatic bid. Well, the MEAC and the SWAC. I think
and the only other one was the Ivy League,
which is a non-scholarship,
right? Which is a non-scholarship.
And I think the one with Dayton and some of those guys are non-scholarship as well. So they don't get automatic bids, but all of the other full scholarship conferences get automatic bids. And I understand with the Bayou Classic and the championship game, or the timing of it, that it kind of takes away our automatic bid because the playoffs start during that time. But I still think if a team goes through the regular season and on paper is deserving of an at-large bid, then they deserve to get it. You know, and like I said, I don't think you can look at the conference and say, well, whatever reason, I don't know whether they say the SWAC is not good enough, or they say the Missouri Valley Conference is just so good. I guess they're so good that everyone beats each other up because you have 2 teams with 1 loss and the other 3 teams all have 3 conference losses.
Time out, Coach. Time out. Historically speaking, there's only been 1 player out of the Missouri Valley Conference, and they didn't even play football. We're talking about Larry Bird at Indiana State.
Well, you know, North Dakota State's in that league, and they've won 4 straight championships. And I understand. I mean, the Missouri Valley is a great conference, but so is the Southern Conference, so is the Southland Conference, so is the SWAC Conference and the MEAC Conference. And so I think 1 or 2 things has to happen. Either, like you said, we have to seek refuge, or we have to start scheduling those teams during the regular season, and maybe that will make them respect us.
That was my next question.
Prairie View beat a Southland school a few years ago. They beat
Stephen F. Austin?
Yeah, they beat Stephen F. Austin.
Yes, sir.
And so does that go for naught? The Southland got 2 schools in, you know, with Lamar, with McNeese and South Houston State.
Sam Houston State, yes, sir.
And so again, I think it's just disrespect when you look at a team like Bethune out of the MEAC that beat FIU 2 years in a row. I mean, they beat an FBS opponent 2 years in a row when Coach Jenkins was the head coach there. And teams in the SWAC, Alcorn nearly beat Southern Miss last year.
That's right. And it was a little home cooking to help advantage that.
I mean, and even this year against Texas State, where the score didn't show the game, but I mean, we played without 6 or 7 starters that game. You know, if we have all our starters, that's a much closer football game. I have no doubt in my mind. And so I think you just have to look at not necessarily the conference, but look at the team. You know, and FBS kind of gets the same thing a little bit with Alabama and the teams out of the SEC kind of get the nod over some teams. Like right now, Alabama's the number 2 team in the country with a loss, and there's another team that hasn't lost that's in the Big 12 that's ranked below them, but because they say Alabama's strength of scheduling is better. And so the politics of college football and how they make decisions, it's a human element. You have a selection committee who has to pick 13 teams, and Prairie View's not the only team that got snubbed. I read an article, there's about 5 or 6 deserving teams that could have got that last spot, and they give it to a team that's lost 5 times this season.
7-4, you're on a bubble. 6-5, you're outside looking in. I just can't buy that any way you look at it. So you made mention of it earlier. Do you now start scheduling some non-conference games with the realignment of how the SWAC has decided to do the football starting next season? Everyone won't play each other all the way around. So do you start scheduling games in the Missouri Valley? Try to get a home and home. We're going to have the facilities with the new stadium that can, you know, accommodate taking on these type of opponents. Do you start looking at that toward the future?
I think that's a discussion for the head coach and the athletic directors to have. I mean, we actually do that. You know, we play Stephen F. Austin. We have a home and home schedule with Sam Houston State coming up in 17 and 18. They'll come here in 17 and we'll go there in 18. And so we understand, and we're in a position here in Texas where we can do that. The Southland Conference is filled with Texas schools. So we're in a situation just by geographics that we can do that. You look at some of the other teams, Arkansas Pine Bluff will have a hard time attracting teams to go to Pine Bluff and play home and homes. Alcorn may have a difficult time being stuck in Mississippi. You know, Mississippi Valley, I mean, what are they going to do? Nobody's going to go to Itta Bena and want to do a home and home with Mississippi Valley. So it kind of puts all of us in a compromising position, and we're scheduling these games to say, look, our strength of scheduling is better. You know, so okay, we schedule those games and we play 2 Southland schools in a year. Well, we beat one, we lose one. Okay, well, what happens? Does the committee say, well, they showed that they can play at that level, even though they didn't beat both of them? Do we give them a bid then? So I think there's just a lot of things that need to be considered in that. But at the end of the day, I think the committee should look at our team's body of work. You know, look at what we are on paper. Look at what we've done this year. Like you said, we have a player up for National Player of the Year. Jonte Hebert's up for National Player of the Year. You know, Trey Green's in the top 10 in the country in statistics. We have the leading blocker in the country with Nick Brewer, leading the entire country in block kicks. You know, so do they say, well, they have those gaudy stats because they play in the SWAC? Is that the justification of it? Or do you recognize those guys for their greatness and say they're great football players and this is a great football team? Let's put them up against the North Dakota States, the Sam Houston States, the McNeese States, the Jacksonville States, and people of that nature to see if they can play on a level playing field. And for us, when we finally do get the opportunity, it's kind of like Boise State. Boise State didn't get a lot of respect for years, and when they finally started to play those teams, they began to beat them. And so for us, we have to prepare ourselves to, if we're going to make a statement and say, well, we feel like we got snubbed, well, when the time comes, we got to make sure we do our job to win the games and be competitive in those type of games, so the selection committee and the rest of the nation could take notice and say, this is a viable football team that can play on the same level as everyone else in FCS football.
So it's all about building consistency for that naysayer. Oh, you only had one good season, and now you're talking about you being snubbed, this, that, and the other. And I understand that. So as you stated earlier, talking about the 18 seniors that are leaving, they've left the foundation, and so you start to go and build toward that. This will be your first full season, if you allow me to say, of recruiting. How will you use this as an advantage to catapult the type of players that you're going to be needing?
Well, it gives us time. We got hired in basically January of last year, and so we didn't really get a chance to evaluate a lot of kids, to really build a relationship with a lot of young men, and we still signed a very good class in our eyes. We have a lot of guys out of that class that contributed this year that we know will contribute in the future. But this year, with us having extra time, with us going through a full season, we have a list of guys who we really are excited about. We have a couple of commitments already for this upcoming season. We have some guys in on official visits this past weekend. We have a handful of mid-year guys that will be visiting in the coming weeks, and then we have a great group of high school young men who have been to games, who've been on campus, who we've had great relationships and contacts with. So I feel really good about the direction the program is heading in recruiting. I have 9 guys on the staff who are hitting the road hard. They're on the phones. They're making contacts throughout the city in Houston and Dallas and the surrounding areas and locally here. You know, so we want to try to do a great job. Like I said before, let's win Texas. Let's do a great job of identifying student athletes in Texas who can make this program better. And we will go outside the state some to find the gems and diamonds in the rough, and because of course they're great football players everywhere. You know, Jonte Hebert is from Louisiana. You know, Jalen Coleman's from Alabama. Marquise O'Leary's from California. So they're great. There's a great football all over the country. It's our job to tap into the fan base that we have, the alumni base that we have, that stretches from coast to coast, north to south, and identify people who want to be Prairie View Panthers. I think that's the most important thing. Let's recruit young men who want to be here, not that we're trying to convince to come here. That's part of recruiting, but if they know about us because they have family members that went here or friends that went here or know people that went to school here, let's continue to spread the good word, and not just coaches, but in the community. You know, I had we went to Dallas this summer and talked to the Dallas alumni chapter, and one of the things that I emphasized to the crowd was we have to sell Prairie View as a community. You know, there are a lot of things that are said about the school that's just untrue. We're party school, you know, all of those negative connotations.
Well, what college does not have a good time?
Well, exactly, but the party school connotation basically means that you just come here, you don't get a good education. But that's not true. And so for us, we have to combat the negative with positivity. Social media is a great platform, and most of the time people see negativity on social media. Well, let's change that and put positive stuff on our websites, on our Twitter accounts, on our Facebook pages, on our Instagram. I mean, let's be positive. Let's sell Prairie View for the great institution that it is, and that will attract the young men and women that we want to come to school here and make us a better football team, make us a better institution, university, to raise our academic profile as well as athletic profile, and that's what it takes. And that was what we ran into this spring when we went out the first time. So much negativity about Prairie View in the eyes of people in Houston, people in Dallas, and it was from people who've never stepped foot on campus.
Exactly.
It's just word of mouth. And so let's let the word of mouth be positive, because like I told you, you can win champ. You want to come here, you want to get a great education, you can do that. Second in the country in social mobility. That speaks for itself. Earn more money than any HBCU in the country coming out of Prairie View. Speaks for itself. You want to win championships, you'll have a chance to do that here at Prairie View. You want to play professional ball, we have a laundry list of guys that play professional football. So all the things that you want to accomplish as a student athlete in college, you can accomplish it here at Prairie View. And it's time for us now to hit the road and sell that. And our coaches understand that, and they've done a great job so far. But I think the fan base will be pleased with the group of young men we bring in, starting in January and then with our signing class in February.
Now, myself, I'm a graduate of Prairie View, class of '93, and I'm gonna look directly in this camera and let the alumni with this proud and wonderful institution that we're all connected to, regardless of what others may think or say about this institution, we as alumni can make a difference, and that's by giving back to the very thing that helped make us what we are today. We all are proud to say that Prairie View produces productive people. Well, we need to show that by giving back to the very institution that impacted our lives. So that's my little ringer out to you. Coach, I spoke to you Saturday, and you said, well, Mike, I hadn't had a chance to reflect yet because we're still in the thick of things right now. Now that the FCS has spoken, how do you embrace and reflect over this inaugural season for you?
Well, honestly, I still don't know if I've really had a chance to reflect on the season yet. I'm an old football coach. As soon as I got to the office on Sunday, and I did go to the office on Sunday, embarrassing enough, my wife is still mad at me for doing so.
You can make that up during the holidays. So
right, but I turned the film on and started to watch the season and started to watch cut-ups and trying to see what we can do better, because my mind immediately shifts to next season. So I have to find my athletic director, Mr. Robinson, called me and said, Coach, take a couple of days off. Like, I'm demanding that you take some days off, and I'll find some days to take off here at some point. But just trying to continue to get better. We're nowhere near where I want us to be. We're at a great place now. 9-2 season, best record in a long time. A lot of records set here during this season. We hopefully have the conference player of the year. We got the best player in the SWAC conference on our football team, and Jonte Hebert, and it would be a travesty if he's not conference player of the year. So we have a lot of things to build upon, but my vision is a dynasty and creating a team here that can compete on a national level against anybody, that can recruit against anybody with the brand new facilities that we're getting, with the direction that the program is heading in. We should be able to compete with anybody in a short period of time. Recruiting wise, again, academically, whatever the case may be, we should be able to recruit against anybody, and that's my vision for this program, to constantly be in a national spotlight. And so I'll reflect on it one day, but just immediately, I mean, it's been a phenomenal ride. I mean, it's hard to believe that it's over so fast. It seems like yesterday that I was standing in A.I. Thomas reading my acceptance letter and addressing the crowd and telling them what type of vision I have for this program. And now the season's over and we're shifting to recruiting. So just like that, it's the same thing we told the seniors. Before you know it, this whole thing is going to be over. And but it's been a fun ride. I mean, I've had a great time. I truly love Prairie View. I mean, I can't say it enough how much I love this place, how much I'm endeared to this place. Just the warmth, them accepting me and my family. I think Shiloh is the official mascot of Prairie View.
She's the baby panther.
Right. So just everything about this place is phenomenal, and just honored and blessed to be here. But I think more about these seniors and this team than I do about the season itself. And so that's why I think I have a hard time reflecting on the season, because my heart just burns for these seniors, because I really wanted to send them out either with a playoff berth or a SWAC championship. And because I didn't do that, I feel like I still haven't done enough. And so it's time to get back to work and again, show those seniors how much I appreciate them by taking us to the next level and taking this team to make the next jump to be the type of team that we started to be at the end of the season. I have no doubt in my mind we were the best team in the Southwestern Athletic Conference near the end of the season. I'd venture to say we're one of the best teams in all of FCS football right now by the way we played. And if anybody disagrees, just turn the film on. Just watch offensively, defensively, special teams wise. Watch us play the last half of the season and see if there's anybody else that's played better football than us. And I dare to say no. So I'm proud to say I'm these guys' head coach. This great group of young men, great coaching staff, their families, and everybody that have been a part of it. And been a great time with you, Mike. I must say, man, doing the show, man, it's been a blast. I appreciate everything that you've done for this program, and Moon and all the people that have a hand in promoting Prairie View, and because these young men deserve it. You know, like I said, it's not about me. It never has been about me, never will be. The young men that I coach deserve it. They deserve first-class treatment. They deserve to fly on the nicest aircrafts. They deserve to get their names in the paper. They deserve media coverage and all the things that the players at Texas and Texas A&M and the University of Houston get. These guys at Prairie View deserve it. You know, and that's my goal and my mission, to continue to sell this university, to make sure that people nationally understand and recognize the greatness that's here on the Hill. And I'm just honored and privileged to be such a part of it.
Now, Coach, you said something a while ago, and I want you to just correct me if I'm reading in between the lines too hard. You said you wanted to build a dynasty, correct? Now, the last I checked, in order for a team to even be considered a dynasty, you have to have at least 10 years of pure dominant performance. Am I getting a promise of being around 10 years around here?
Good Lord willing, like I said, I love, my wife loves it here, and you probably, if they try to pull me out, she'd be stuck here. So again, Prairie View is a phenomenal place, and again, there's no other place right now I'd rather be, and I'm just honored to be here. I'm thankful for Mr. Robinson and Dr. Wright for believing in me, a first-time head coach, to come here with a team that has so much promise and talent that hadn't achieved it, to not say, well, let's go get a veteran guy. Let's go get an older guy who's done it, who can maybe be the difference. We tried the first-time head coach thing the last time, and it didn't really work for us the way we wanted it to, so let's go in a different direction. But Mr. Robinson has a vision for this program. Dr. Wright has a vision for this university, and they felt that I was the right man for the job, and hopefully I've made them feel like they made a good choice. But I'm honored to be here again. I can't say enough about this place, how wonderful it is. And if anybody hasn't been on this campus, I encourage you to do so, because again, it's just an amazing place. And special things are going on here. The brand new stadium, the bowling alley, the rec center, the new business building, business ag building. Best food of any college in the country. Just whatever you want, you can get it here on Prairie View. Hump Day on Wednesdays. The list goes on and on. And just thankful that we have a group of young men and women here that willing to give to the community. After this show, we're going to take food to families, around the community for Thanksgiving. And when I made the announcement yesterday, I had so many volunteers, I had to start turning some of them around, because we just don't have room on the bus for everybody to go. Right. But it shows the type of people we have here at Prairie View. And when they say Prairie View produces productive people, it's the truth. And it shows every single day when you walk on campus and you just see the love that people have for this university, the student body, how much they accept you, how warm they are. It's an amazing, it's really a remarkable place. And I wouldn't have known until I stepped foot on campus, and that's what I'm saying. People that have not been here, they're missing out, and they need to come on this campus and just really see what we have going on here. And I have no doubt that this place is going to take off, and hopefully I'm around long enough to see it happen.
Well, if you want to be around, I'm pretty sure they'll make that arrangement. I guess the old saying, the best kept secret needs to be erased from the language when it's connected to Prairie View. Coach, thank you, man, for an outstanding season. You don't get any first time as a first-time coach. 9-2, man. Couldn't have brought it up a little. Well, he could have written it a little bit better. Yeah. Maybe we need to tap that horn, but I'm going to stop messing with the FCS. We want to thank you all so much for joining us throughout the entire season. It has been a labor of love for us here, and providing you with the Willie Simmons Show from beginning. We're doing the two-a-day camps all the way to the final game of the regular season. The Panthers season ends, but it ends in a note that will forever be remembered. 9-2 on the season, the best record since 1964. A lot of things accomplished in such a short time, and there's yet a great ways to go. For the Willie Simmons Show, we want to thank Ryan McGinty, who is the man behind the scenes, the athletic director, Ashley Robertson, assistant athletic director, Elisa Pete, and all of you all throughout PV Nation who have sent tweets, texts, and even said hello and appreciate what we've tried to accomplish here with the Willie Simmons Show. We're not done Football season is over, but we have a lot more in store for you. As always, thank you so much. God bless, and we'll see you on the other side.